Hello guys, welcome back to narsicloud.com. So far we have talked about a lot of services in AWS. So today we're going to talk about RDS. So RDS comes under database category. RDS mainly stands for Relational Database Service. So it mainly talks about database and how you store information and how does information get scaled in cloud. So that is the primary purpose of RDS. So under RDS we have a lot of different types of databases. Okay, so before we deep dive into those concepts, let's talk about how we used to store information before cloud in our on-premise servers, right? So in generally in anywhere, like any scenario in software technology, we have an app, right? App must be running somewhere, and app takes some information from the user, or it might generate itself some data based on analytics or anything. So it has the source of data generation, right? By through events, in today's world we have devices in everywhere, right? Everybody has one device at least. So we are generating the data, right? Where does that data go, right? That needs to be stored somewhere. So before all of these devices and the cloud concepts, the data generation was minimal, right? In generally, like, we have an app calls one of these services. So this app might be running in the browser, or it could be running in cloud. It could be running in the mobile, right? They are kind of clients. And then we have services will take the calls calls from the application, and then it takes that information and it will store into the database, right? Where is the database? So database must be running in one of these machines, right? So in original videos, like in the initial videos of this series, I talked about very core concepts of what is computer and what are the components of it, right? So if you refer to that, this information must be stored and on one of these machines, and let's assume that this is our on-premise server. Okay, so this is on-premise. What is on-premise? So basically, before cloud, we used to maintain our own servers, own data center, right? On-premise data center. So in our data center, we used to have a lot of machines, right? Initially we start with a few machines, and then as we see data load increasing, we used to order for more machines. That used to take some time. So here we're going to focus in this area today. So here we have 4 machines, right? So in each machine we have this database server. So this is the database server. Anything that machine is giving back, something must be running there, right? So some software must be running in the database in that machine. So here when services send that information to database, this machine, what this does is the database server that's running on this machine, that will take that information, and the information will be stored into that database. So let's assume all these databases, let's assume that this is Postgres, right? Postgres is one of the relational database. Today it's most popular, which is lightweight and compared to how we used to have other databases before. And it supports hybrid, like it supports storing JSON objects and all that. So let's assume that this is Postgres database, and we have a lot of tables here, right? And that information is stored in these tables. Okay, that's all good. Since this is on-premise server, who is going to maintain these machines, and who is going to maintain the connectivity of these machines to internet? And if you have connectivity between these machines itself, somebody has to maintain that, right? As we increase the load on these machines, sometimes database might go down, and then application might be down there. So when the application tries to access the information from these servers, if one of the servers goes down, then it can contact to other server, but if the whole stuff goes down, then services will try to access information and it gets nothing, and it generates errors, right? So there must be somebody to maintain health of this data center with respect to network connectivity, with respect to patches. So here database, when I say Postgres, that is just a software, right? Every software will have upgrades, right? So as the Postgres team, as they release newer versions, somebody has to take care of upgrading that software in the first place, so that database will keep up to date with latest trends. And not only with the trends, with respect to security, with respect to performance, we keep upgrading the software, right? So somebody must be there to upgrade this software without affecting the users, right? So let's say we have a lot of information stored on these machines already, and there is a lot of traffic coming into this data center, and if you have to upgrade the software, sometimes it requires a reboot, right? What happens if we reboot this machine to update that software, and just in case at the same time, if users are being served from that, then there will be a problem, right? So we cannot upgrade as and when we need it, as and when it pops up, right? So there are a lot of activities like that. Somebody has to take care of this whole data center. So is this gonna be scalable? Think about it. As these services keep on increasing, as the users are increasing using our application, this data center has to be scaled. So if it is on premise, it is our responsibility to order for new machines and bring them into our data center, have that setup connectivity. It will take a lot of time. So but the traffic is like exponential increase, right? So we cannot cope up with that. We need to hire a lot of people. We need to pay. It's gonna be huge pay for those for the team, because it's a very critical activity. So it's very difficult to find that talent as well, right? So it's all going to be burden for the company, right? So wouldn't it be great if this whole stuff is taken care by somebody, and as a user of the database, like a technical guy, okay, I don't need to worry about where my servers are, how do those servers are connected, and if they have power or not, and if they are scalable or not. I don't take care of that. Somebody should give me out of the box. All I have to do is, for my application, I know what information I can store, and how does that information get stored, in what format. That's all I know. And I know how to create tables, right? And I know about the database. That means, how does Postgres work, how does tables get created, how do I access the data. All of that I know as a technical guy. But I don't need to worry about where this Postgres is running, where this database server is running, what that machine is, and what is the RAM of that machine. If users traffic is increasing, then I don't need to worry about bringing the new machines into the data center so that they can serve more users. Wouldn't it be great if somebody is there to take care of all of that? How much burden it would be if we had to do that. So that's where cloud comes into picture. The whole this mission setup, all this data center will be taken care by cloud. All we have to do is just creating the database, and we don't know where does that database end up in one of these missions. That's again, like I said in my previous videos, AWS or cloud is kind of ocean of machines, right? It can exist anywhere. It's kind of virtual, right? So having said that, taking all of this into cloud, all we have to do is creating the database and creating your tables, and it's up and running. They'll provide you URL and username and password. It's all the things that you provided, and then eventually you'll get the URL, which is a database host, which means one of these host, right? And the port number, you will use that and connect to the database from your application. That's it. That's all you have to do. All these patch updates, everything is configurable. It's all by a few clicks. You will get your database up and running. So that is the advantage of moving to cloud. So that is the RDS concepts. So RDS is a overall concept. It's not particularly related to one database, right? RDS is a relational concept. So it's one of the database core concepts. So relational database means what does that mean? What is relational? So relational means it is the information is connected somewhere. Okay, that's we call it as a relation. So they have, so let's say you are storing in multiple tables. Each table is connected in one way, and they are relationally connected. So for example, you have a person table and you have address table, right? They both are connected in a way that, okay, this is the person and this address belongs to this person. This person lives in this address, right? They're connected. So that is kind of relational data. So that's why the databases which store relational data, we call them as relational databases, right? We have Postgres, we have MySQL, we have Oracle. They're all relational databases. And we have NoSQL databases. So even those services come under this category in AWS, right? So that is the basic concept of RDS. And how does it look like in cloud? Let's go to RDS, right? RDS is one. So how do you search for that? If you do for RDS, so this is pretty much like any other service. You go to the dashboard, and if you look at the dashboard here, let's go there. RDS comes under database category. So under database category, you have RDS, DynamoDB, Elastic Cache. So everything related to the database stuff, right? So under this, it's not only relational, but also NoSQL, all of those concepts, right? So let's go back to RDS. How does it look like? So it's a few clicks. So you have different sections here. So basically what you do is you go and you can click on create database here if it is Amazon or so it's basically that they provide some notifications there. But if you had your database created already, you can see how many number of instances, all of that information. So we go get create database. So today I'll just quickly show how it look like, but I'm not gonna create the database. We'll talk about in our next video. So it's pretty much like you provide all the information and then create database. Okay, so we can talk about that in our next video in detail, how the steps exactly to create database and connecting to the database from our machine, which means from our app, how do we connect to that, right? So that will take up in our next video. So far today our goal was to talk about just the concept of RDS and why we need to go to cloud and what are the problems it's going to solve. Okay, in our next video we will go deep dive into creating the database and tables and connecting that from our machine. Okay, so you guys take care, and if you do like this video, please click on like button and please do subscribe. And we're almost there, finishing up these the foundational series of AWS, and after that we will go for next technology. Okay, thank you, see you guys, bye.